probably was going to ask it just that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about why you started the system and kind of some of the basics, why people need it. Well, let's get into what is the Goldmine system.
Yeah, so it's the series, the Goldmine series. Yes. The Goldmine series is fundamentally it's a collection of content. Okay, and there are three aspects to it. The first one is there are 6 45-minute videos that each covering a very specific topic. The second element, and I'll talk about those topics in a minute, the second element is 30 hours of online interactive e-learning content that takes a learner through a framework which is what we call a client-centric framework called the Principal Selling Series. And the Principal Selling Series, the content from that comes from a book that was written in the UK by the founder of Lammore, a gentleman called Mark Blackmore, called The Single Sales Principle and the 8 Myths of Selling. And it talks and goes through a framework and a process that people can utilize throughout the whole sales cycle. And the final element of the Goldmine series is the opportunity to take that self-study learning, if you will, online through the videos and the interactive e-learning content, and then participate in a monthly live and recorded 1-hour webinar with one of our instructors that's going to facilitate some of the content, but at the same time is going to be available for Q&A for people to actually have exposure to instructors and an expert to be able to talk and ask questions about their experiences as they've been implementing the content. So that's what the Goldmine series consists of. In terms of what does the content look like, so the 6 videos are covering everything from objection handling, the value line as we call it, which is how we develop and create value with our clients, the power of emotions, which is where the psychology of selling comes in, where the emotional aspects of how we go about as human beings making a decision, and how as salespeople we can very much support our prospects and our clients going through that by understanding how they're making that decision-making process. So those videos are 45 minutes. They've been recorded in our studios in the United Kingdom. Mark Blackmore, who I just mentioned, who's the founder of Lammore, he actually has recorded 3 of those videos, and Simon Roscoe, who's also a co-owner of Lammore in the UK and here in the United States, he's also recorded the other 3. And these 2 guys are people who have, like myself, been in sales and business for many, many years. So what we're bringing to the party is not just theoretical content, but we're also bringing to the party our experience, what we know works, what we know doesn't work, and importantly, our experience of working with learners. We are teaching thousands of people every year, either in a face-to-face or a self-study format, and get a lot of feedback from those learners of how they're using the content and how it works. And of course, from that feedback, we're going through an evolution cycle, and the Goldmine series is a good example of how we're evolving our product and our service to be able to meet the needs of our client. Yeah. The e-learning content is, quite frankly, an enormously comprehensive range of 3 programs, each program consisting of 4 modules. Within each module are a number of lessons, and at the end of every module are a number of assignments where the learners can actually take what they've learnt and then relate that to their own environment, their own sales environment, the types of products and service, the types of objections that they're asking to be handled, and so on. So that there is this kind of marriage between the theory and the reality of how people are working. And the webinars is the cherry on the cake. Because one of the things that self-study or online learning, if you will, can be criticised for is that nobody has the opportunity to have any exposure to the method of how we've all been taught, which right from our kindergarten years of going into a classroom and having a teachers. The webinar element is that cherry on the cake where people get the opportunity through live webinar, which are recorded so that they can listen to them later as well, and actually have the exposure to be able to ask their questions of their experiences. And it's a highly comprehensive, very rounded series of learning. And there's two ways that people are typically going to use it, potentially three. The first one is they're going to watch every video and they're going to go through all the 30 hours of the e-learning content, and absolutely they're going to be able to take that experience and they're going to be involved and interactive with the webinar series. So they're really going to embrace and adopt it, which is great. We also understand, of course, that not everybody has the opportunity to be able to do that, and more importantly, that they don't necessarily want to be in a situation where they feel that they've got to go through all that content before they can actually start using what they've learned. And I know, Chris, you have a great analogy between learning to play the piano and learning to play the guitar.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, tell everybody about that analogy, because I think it absolutely relates to the Goldmine series.
Okay. Yeah, and it's pretty simple. Essentially, when you learn how to play the guitar, very, very quickly, they can teach you the most prominent chords that you're going to use. You can play like 80% of the music you have available to you. So there's a very, very quick learning process that makes it fun and enjoyable. That's why people do it. On the other hand, when you go to learn to play something like the guitar or the piano, or not the guitar, violin or the piano, you have a very long series of learning how to read music, learning how to do this and this and this and this and all of these things before you can even start before you can start playing music, which is what you want, right? So essentially what we're getting at here is the Lammore system is meant to teach you how to play the guitar. It's going to give you the stuff you need to play.
Yeah, but absolutely, and you don't have to go through all of it before you actually are able to utilize and get benefit and see return.
Yeah.
You know, and that's such an important point, because one of the key drivers, and I talked about people's barriers, one of their barriers being around time, but one of people's key drivers is motivation. You know, and quite frankly, I think if we sat down in front of somebody and said, hey, you know, we can make you the greatest salesperson in the world, but, you know, I need you to put, you know, 40 or 50 hours into this. How do you eat, you know, a 12-ounce steak in little pieces? And this is what we've done with the Goldmine series, is enable people to be able to take specific areas. I talked about the videos. There are 6 individual videos which each have a very specific focus around parts of the sales cycle. The e-learning content is 3 programs, 4 modules per program. What I'm basically saying here is that people can actually utilize it as a buffet, if you will, continuing on the food theme. That there may be things that they feel that they have specific challenges or issues with. They may have a big presentation or a client meeting or a proposal in a day's time or a couple of days' time, and they want to be able to get some support. So in addition to being able to have it there as a complete program for them to take from soup to nuts, they also have this ability to be able to actually pick and choose the things that they feel that they have the most need for, and know that they're going to get benefit from that. Know that it's going to teach them something, so it's going to motivate them. And even if it took people a long time to actually go through the whole program, but they're building it based on motivation, then that's a win. It's a win for them, it's a win for their clients, and it's a win for their bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like your point about sometimes there's areas that people struggle on, because I like to think in analogies, you know, stuff.
Yeah, so, sure. Yeah. Bring it to life.
Yeah. So when you think about that, you think about maybe MMA, fighting, stuff like that, different martial arts.
Not one of my own hobbies personally.
Yes. Well, it used to be one of mine until I got fat. But you know, because you have, you know, your ground game, you're up, you're fighting, So you can use your hands, your feet, and then you get in close, you get on the ground. So like someone like me, I'm very, very good once I'm on the ground grappling. But when I'm up, I'm not very good on my feet, throwing punches and stuff. So the whole point is that if I wanted to work on just my feet game, I could do that. And the same with the sales training. Like, if you're really good at closing, if you get them to the table, you're getting a deal. But you have a problem getting there. Like, the sales training program can also help provide those building
the analogy
blocks.
Is a really good one, because I mean, I'm pleased to know what you're strong at when it comes to MMA fighting, because if you and I ever get into that kind of situation, I know never to get you on the floor to grapple. But when you stood on your feet, I could probably knock you over quite quickly. The point being here is that, and actually physical training is a great example, and it's a great comparison, because typically we go because there are to exercise because there are certain things that we want to work on. And we know in doing so, we're also actually being in a position to be able to improve our overall health. And that's a great analogy in terms of what we do. Yes, for people that want to improve their overall sales health, absolutely soup to nuts as a program. For people that want to work on their abs, but by working on their abs, that's also having a very positive impact to their overall health. We can do that as well, and so that takes it takes the time element out in terms of being a barrier, because people can commit small chunks of this. Don't go onto Netflix and watch the next program within the season of your favourite series. Go and watch one of these videos, or go and do the interactive e-learning for an hour or so. That will really improve your overall health. It'll improve your overall bottom line. And then if you've got questions, all the webinars are held on the third Friday of every month at 12 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you register for that webinar so that you have the opportunity to then be able to talk directly to an expert, which in most instances will be me. So I hope that is a great incentive to everybody that's listening to this.
Yeah, absolutely.